I just wanted to give a quick update. I have the batteries connected. The two EG4 14.3 kilowatt batteries. They are connected in parallel via an Ethernet cable, but they also connect to their own inverter through two positives and two negatives, both 2 aught. I'm sure you've seen lots of videos on these, but I was thinking about how they balance, how they, you know, obviously there's no direct electrical transfer between the two batteries. So I'm thinking that what it's doing is it's just telling the voltage of this battery, this left battery, say it gets a little bit higher than the battery on the right, that it will send more power to, obviously if it's available. I mean, if you have, like, this is my back rack, this is my front rack. If they're not getting equal sun, they may not be able to do that, but send more power to this one because its voltage is a little bit lower, and use, you know, the rest of the power to power the inverter for AC power. But to hear how the fans keep kicking off and on, this is something that just started happening yesterday. You can't see on this screen. I can show you later. I'm gonna display some screenshots on in the video that I've taken. Yeah, we're over 14 kilowatts. It shows the same thing on each screen because they're in parallel. So no clouds. It seems exactly the same symptoms that you would get when clouds go in front of the sun. All of a sudden you'll hear the fans slow down and the power will drop a couple thousand watts. Yeah, it was just a couple hundred watts, but it'll drop substantially just for no reason at all, and then it'll ramp back up. I mean, people who have EG4 equipment, I'm wondering, has this ever happened to you? Let's wait a little bit to see if it... Yeah, it sounds like it's dropped. No, 15. You can hear the sound of the fan is dropping. But yeah, 13. There it goes. It just happened. It dropped a couple thousand watts for no reason. Now you can't see it here, like I said. I'll show you. The voltage of each string is typically around, I don't know, 230 something to 240 something, even 250 something, but it'll all of a sudden go up to 289, 290. So it's not pulling all the power anymore. It just decides I don't want to, even though it needs, because it needs all the power, because right now I'm charging my, well, you can see the consumption is really high. 10 over 10 kilowatts. The rest is going into the battery. I'm charging my EV and running an electric heater, so it needs the power. It's not like, I've seen it obviously not use all the solar power. Well, that happens a lot. The batteries will be fully charged and I'm not using much power, so of course it's not gonna, I'm not doing grid tie yet, so it's gonna cut power, but it's just doing it when it needs the power. So it's just very odd. It seems like it happens with the second inverter more often, but it'll happen to both. Probably because they're in parallel. I guess I could run them separately, not in parallel mode, as though they were two separate systems, just to see if it keeps happening to both. So enough of all that racket from the inverter fans. Here, okay, sorry about that. So now that I'm away from a noisy environment, I can talk a little bit here. I wanted to go through some of these screenshots with you. So this first one is showing the inverters operating normally. As you can see, they're producing 14 kilowatts. The batteries are taking in about 2 kilowatts, and I've got 11 kilowatts powering the house, which was charging my EV and running a couple electric heaters. But if you look at the arrows on the bottom, you can see the voltage of the strings. There's 6 strings here. There's VPV 1, 2, and 3, but there's 2 rows because there's 2 inverters. So there's 3 3 strings going to each inverter. And you can see 255, 258, 261, 256, 257, 257. And I'm getting a good amount. I'm getting over 2 kilowatts, 2.3 kilowatts for each one. Now, if you look at this screen, this happened immediately after. Totally cloudless sky. So this is not due to any clouds going in front of the sun. You saw it was producing 14 kilowatts, and right here it's 11.8 kilowatts. So it dropped by more than 2 kilowatts. Now this is what's interesting. If you look, obviously the batteries still they're at 78% state of charge. They still need power. I have my load went down. I don't know what happened there, but it's still a lot, almost 10 kilowatts. And then, by the way, you can see I'm pulling over 2 or almost 3 kilowatts from the grid for some weird reason. That's something totally separate. I don't know. Also, yeah, let me know if you guys have ever encountered that. It will do that for a very short time. I'm sure after I refresh this, that disappeared, but that's kind of annoying too. But the point was the arrows at the bottom. Look what happened to the second inverter. The top ones they still look pretty normal. They're about 2 kilowatts, but look, 247 volts, 250, and 254 volts. And look at the second inverter, 286, 284, 287. The amount of power is actually pretty close, but I'm not sure what's going on. It's still a cloudless day. The sun's in the same exact position as it was when you saw 14 kilowatts, but the power dropped by more than 2 kilowatts. I mean, I cannot comprehend what's going on here. I talked to EG4 tech support, and after I started to make this video, and they said to do firmware updates. I already did it before, but I guess there was an additional update that I hadn't gotten. I cannot repeat this experiment right now because it got very cloudy, so I'll have to wait till tomorrow to do that. So I guess we'll see what happens tomorrow. Lastly, I just wanted to briefly show you these 2 screens. Check this out. This happened yesterday. This is the most PV input I've ever seen with this system. So it's a 21.3 kilowatt system. Let me check. It's 445 watt panels times 48 of them. So theoretically, the maximum is 21,360 watts, and I'm getting 20,430. That is so close. It's charging the battery with over 8 kilowatts and charging my EV and the other loads in the house, including electric heaters. I thought that was just amazing. That actually happened there was the issue where it was dropping a little bit, but it maintained that for like 45 minutes. And then this screen right here. So the previous screen, my load was so high that the batteries were just taking all they could get. The difference here on this screen is you can see the load dropped to 1700 watts, probably because the EV stopped charging. So this allowed the balance of the power to go to the battery, and it actually, I think I may have still been getting 20 kilowatts, but it dropped to 18 because between the load and the battery, it reached a limit. The battery, you can see the charge current is 282.5, and then look on the left where it shows the battery icon. The battery is getting 16,000 watts, 92%. And look at the fine print below that. I have it set for a limit for charging and discharging at 280 amps. So I'm not sure why it went above a tiny bit. There must be some tolerance or something, but yeah, so I actually hit the charge limit here. So you saw highest PV and highest amount of charge. That's just amazing. So anyway, that'll be it for this video. I will update you on how the inverters run and after the updates and whatever else EG4 tells me. I hope this can be fixed because it's not like I could just, these giant heavy things, it's not like I could just ship them back and get another one or another 2. That would be a big pain in the butt. So yeah, please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I really appreciate you watching my videos.